It was a quiet
I
Saturday
fell off
afternoon
my
in a small
bike.
Chicago
Oh, it's
neighborhood.
okay. Are you hurt?
The sun
My
hung
knee
lazily
hurts.
in the
Let's
sky,
get you up.
casting
Oh, my
warm
dear,
golden
what's the
light
matter?
across the park.
I fell and
I
hurt
fell
my
in love.
knee.
Family
There,
strolled
there,
along
it's
the
all right
paved
now.
paths. Joggers
See this
moved
part?
rhythmically,
It connects right
and the
here.
occasional
Oh, I
dog
see.
barked
Can
at
I
a
try?
tossed ball.
Of course, hold it
But
steady.
in the far
Like
corner
this?
of the playground, away from the laughter and chatter, a young boy sat on the grass, his shoulders hunched, tears streaming down his face. His brand new red bicycle, a birthday gift he had barely had time to enjoy, lay twisted and broken beside him. The chain had slipped off the gears. The handlebars were slightly bent, and one of the pedals hung awkwardly. Why did this have to happen today? He whispered to himself, voice trembling. He kicked at the dirt, frustration mixing with sorrow. Every few minutes he would glance around, hoping someone would notice, someone who might help. But the park was filled with people lost in their own worlds. Parents were busy pushing strollers. Teenagers were laughing in groups, and no one seemed to care that a small boy's afternoon had been ruined by a broken bike. From a nearby bench, a woman watched him quietly. She was older, perhaps in her late 60s, with silver-streaked hair tucked under a faded scarf. Her clothes were worn, patched in several places, and her hands bore the calluses of a lifetime of hard work. She carried a small, battered bag that rattled when she moved. Inside were tools she had collected over the years: wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers, items discarded or forgotten by others, but still perfectly functional. In her capable hands, she had learned to repair almost anything, from leaky faucets to broken furniture, simply because she had no choice in life but to make do with what she had. Something about the boy's helplessness tugged at her heart. Without hesitation, she approached him, her footsteps soft on the grass. "Hey there," she said gently, crouching down to his level. "Looks like your bike's given you some trouble." The boy sniffled and looked up at her with wide, uncertain eyes. "I don't know how to fix it," he admitted, voice quivering. "Don't worry," she replied with a reassuring smile. "I can help. I've fixed a lot of things in my life. And I'm pretty good with bicycles, too." She knelt beside the bike, examining the tangled chain and crooked wheel. Her hands worked with confidence, checking each part, carefully adjusting. Twisting and tightening, the boy watched, a mixture of awe and relief washing over him. He had been expecting to sit there alone until anyone noticed his distress. But here was this kind woman, fixing his bike as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Slowly the boy's tears dried, replaced by a flicker of hope. Around them, life continued as usual. But in that quiet corner of the park, a simple act of kindness was unfolding, a moment that neither the boy nor the woman would ever forget. Little did they know, this small encounter would set the stage for something far larger than either could imagine. The woman's hands moved swiftly and skillfully over the bicycle, her fingers deftly entangling the chain, aligning the gears and straightening the handlebars. Though her clothes were worn, and her hands roughened from a lifetime of labor, her movements were precise, almost graceful. The boy watched with wide eyes, fascinated by her calm determination. Each adjustment seemed to bring the bike back to life, and with it a spark of hope in his heart. "Almost done," she said with a warm smile, wiping the sweat from her brow. "There, try it now." She pushed the bike gently toward him. The boy's hands trembled slightly as he gripped the handlebars. He carefully placed his feet on the pedals and began to ride. To his amazement, the bicycle moved smoothly. No jerks, no squeaks, no resistance, perfectly restored. His face lit up with an expression of pure joy, and a laugh escaped his lips. Bright and carefree. "Wow, it's perfect, thank you so much," he exclaimed, his earlier sadness completely replaced by excitement. The woman chuckled softly, shaking her head. "It's nothing really, just a little patience and a lot of care," she said modestly. She had fixed countless broken things in her life, but seeing the joy in the boy's eyes made all the struggles worthwhile. As the boy rode around the park, performing little spins and jumps on his restored bicycle, a few nearby park-goers began to notice. Some paused to watch, whispering to each other, impressed by the sight of a stranger helping a child with such dedication. But the woman didn't seek attention. She focused entirely on the boy's happiness, letting him experience the freedom of riding again. Across the park, near the benches and walking paths, a man in a tailored suit had been watching the entire scene unfold. He was tall, with an air of authority and confidence, yet his gaze was steady and attentive. He noticed how the woman's hands moved, how patient she was, and how naturally she treated the boy with kindness and care. The man's eyes narrowed slightly, not in judgment but in curiosity and admiration. He had seen many people perform acts of charity in staged ways, often for recognition, but this was genuine. He realized that the woman's modest appearance, Ragged clothing and humble demeanor could have fooled anyone at first glance, yet her skills, compassion, and innate goodness were undeniable. His mind began to turn with possibilities, considering how someone like her could make a difference. Beyond this park, as the boy rode back toward her, laughing and calling her over to show off his tricks, the man's heart softened. This small act, a simple repair of a broken bicycle, had caught his attention more than anything else that day. He had always believed in rewarding talent and kindness, and something told him that this encounter wasn't just a coincidence. It was an opportunity to bridge two very different worlds. The boy skidded to a halt in front of the woman, smiling ear to ear. "Look, I can do it now. You made it work." The woman laughed, her eyes twinkling. "I told you it just needed a little patience. You did the rest." Little did either of them know that this seemingly ordinary afternoon in a Chicago park was about to change their lives in ways none of them could imagine. As the boy rode in circles around the small clearing, laughing and squealing with delight, the tall man in the tailored suit finally stepped forward. His polished shoes clicked against the pavement, a sound that somehow made the woman pause mid-laugh. She straightened up, brushing dirt from her worn skirt, and glanced toward him. His presence was commanding, yet gentle, and his eyes, a sharp blue, carried curiosity and sincerity. "Excuse me," he said, his voice calm but confident. "I couldn't help noticing what you just did." The woman looked at him warily. Strangers, in her experience, often had ulterior motives, offering false praise or charity with strings attached. But something in the way he watched her honestly, without judgment, made her hesitate before responding. "I was just helping a kid with his bike," she said softly, shrugging. "Nothing special." The man smiled. Not everyone would stop to do that. Not with such care and skill. He reached into his pocket and produced a crisp business card, sliding it across toward her. "My name is Richard Hammond." He said, "I'm his father, and I run a few businesses here in Chicago. I want to offer you an opportunity if you're willing to take it." The woman blinked, confused and a little skeptical. She glanced down at the card, taking in the printed name, the sleek font and the faint gold trim. It seemed unreal, like a dream intruding on her everyday life. "An opportunity," she repeated, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know what you mean." Richard knelt slightly to meet her gaze. "I mean exactly this. I've been watching you, and I've seen how naturally talented and kind you are. You could make a real difference in people's lives, and I'd like you to help me do that. I have community programs for children, parks and youth education, initiatives that could benefit from someone with your abilities. If you're interested, I'd like to discuss it further. No strings, no judgments. Just a chance to do something meaningful and perhaps improve your life as well." The woman's hand shook as she took the card. She could hardly believe it. Someone of wealth, influence, and power, offering her an opportunity based purely on what she had done. Out of kindness, her life had been hard, filled with struggle and survival. And moments like this seemed almost impossible. She swallowed hard, feeling a mixture of gratitude, disbelief, and cautious hope. Meanwhile, the boy ran up to them, still grinning from ear to ear. "See, I told you she's amazing," he said, hugging the bicycle to her leg. She laughed, ruffling his hair, feeling warmth and pride swelling in her chest. It was that simple act, the joy of a child, that had caught the attention of someone who could actually change her future. Richard watched them quietly, noting the genuine connection between the woman and the boy. He knew that talent and kindness like hers were rare, and in that moment he realized this meeting wasn't coincidence. Life sometimes presented people at the exact right time for a reason, and he was determined to honor that chance. The woman looked up at Richard, her eyes shining. "I don't know what to say," she admitted. "Thank you, really. No need for words," he replied, smiling. "Just consider this the beginning." And with that simple exchange, a door had opened, a door that neither of them could have imagined would lead to a life-changing journey. A week later, the woman found herself standing outside a sleek office building in downtown Chicago. The glass doors reflected the bright sunlight, and people in business attire moved quickly past her. For a moment she hesitated, feeling out of place in her patched clothing and worn shoes. Doubts crept into her mind. Was she really meant to be here? Could someone like her belong in a world so different from her own? Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the doors. Inside, the lobby gleamed with polished marble floors and towering ceilings. A receptionist smiled politely, directing her to the elevator. She ascended to the top floor, heart pounding in anticipation. When the elevator doors opened, she was greeted by Richard Hammond himself. His warm smile and calm demeanor immediately put her at ease. "Welcome," he said, extending a hand. "I'm glad you came." She shook his hand, trying to steady her nerves. "Thank you for inviting me," she replied. Richard led her into a bright office overlooking the city skyline. He explained the purpose of his community programs, after-school activities, mentorship initiatives, and workshops designed to help underprivileged children discover their talents. "We need someone who understands children, who can inspire them," he said. "Someone like you have skills, patience and kindness qualities money can't buy." The woman listened amazed. She had spent her life surviving and helping where she could, never imagining that her small acts of kindness might lead to something larger. She realized that her simple repair of a bicycle in a park had opened a door she never thought possible. I don't know what to say," she whispered. "I'm not sure I'm qualified for this." Richard shook his head gently. "You already are. You've seen how children respond to genuine care. You have the talent and heart for this work. The rest can be learned." Her eyes filled with tears. She had always lived on the margins, struggling day to day, and now someone was offering her not just a job, but a chance to make a real difference, a chance to step into a life that seemed completely out of reach. She nodded, feeling a warmth and hope she hadn't experienced in years. The boy's father, Richard, guided her through the initial days, introducing her to the children and staff. Watching quietly as she connected with each child effortlessly, her confidence grew with every smile she earned. And every problem she solved, the children adored her, drawn to her gentle nature and practical skills, while she felt a deep fulfillment in helping them grow. Meanwhile, the boy whose bicycle had started it all would often visit the community center. He laughed and played, always calling her over to show her small achievements. Each time she felt a renewed sense of purpose, remembering how a simple act of fixing a bike had transformed her life. In that moment, the woman realized something profound. Kindness, when genuine, is never wasted. Even the smallest gesture, a moment of care, a helping hand, can ripple outward, changing lives in ways we cannot imagine. From the park to the office, from uncertainty to hope, her life had shifted completely. Looking out at the children playing, she smiled, knowing that one simple act had led her here. And for the first time in a long time, she felt truly at home in the world and in her own future.